When you wake up in the morning, most people open their eyes, and the first thing they do is remember who they are. They recall their problems, they recall the people they know, they recall the past that has shaped them, and without even realizing it, they step into the same emotional signature of yesterday. They repeat the same thoughts, which produce the same choices, which lead to the same actions, which create the same experiences, which reinforce the same feelings, and then tomorrow looks just like yesterday. That cycle is what keeps people trapped in limitation, in survival, in the same predictable patterns that they say they want to change but never quite do. But what if today you decided not to live by the memory of the past? What if you decided not to be defined by the familiar thoughts that have chained you to old emotions? What if, instead of forcing life to happen, instead of controlling every outcome, you simply relaxed into the flow of the present moment? Because in the flow, abundance is not something you chase. It's something that naturally finds you. Flow is not about effort. Flow is not about pushing harder or working longer. Flow is about entering into the intelligence that beats your heart, that breathes your lungs, that moves the galaxies through the heavens. It is the energy that created you, the field of possibility that surrounds you, the intelligence that knows exactly what you need and how to bring it to you. But you can't connect with it if you are living in survival, if you are always on edge, always analyzing, always trying to predict the future based on the past. You can't be in flow if you are tense. Flow requires surrender, flow requires trust, flow requires letting go of the known and opening to the unknown. Think about water. Water doesn't force its way through the rocks. It finds the path of least resistance, and yet it carves mountains. It is soft, but it is powerful. It is yielding, but it is unstoppable. That is what happens when you live in flow. You may not always see the entire path. You may not always know how it's going to unfold. But you trust the current of life to take you where you need to be, and when you trust that current, you align with abundance. Abundance is not just about money. Abundance is an energy, a frequency, a state of being. When you feel abundant, you no longer wait for conditions outside of you to change before you give yourself permission to feel good. You don't wait for the promotion, or the relationship, or the health diagnosis, or the external evidence. Instead, you begin to generate the feeling of abundance from within. You rehearse it, you practice it, you teach your body emotionally what it feels like to live in overflow. And when your body begins to feel that future emotion in the present moment, the field of possibility responds. Life begins to reorganize itself around you because you have tuned your frequency to the reality you desire. This is not imagination. This is not fantasy. This is the language of creation. Every thought you fire in your brain produces a chemical in your body. Every emotion you feel is a broadcast to the field around you. If you are constantly feeling lack, you are broadcasting lack. If you are constantly feeling fear, you are broadcasting fear. And the field, which only knows how to respond to energy, mirrors back to you what you are radiating. That is why so many people stay stuck. They are creating their future from the emotions of their past. But when you relax into flow, when you let go of needing to control how it comes, when you begin to feel the feelings of abundance before it arrives, you become magnetic. Opportunities that you never could have strategized your way into begin to appear. Conversations happen by coincidence. Doors open where there were once walls. It feels like synchronicity, but it is not luck. It is you aligning your inner state with the flow of the universe. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself as already abundant. Not a future you, but a now you. Feel what it feels like to be free of financial worry, to have more than enough, to wake up with joy because you are supported by life. Feel what it feels like to be loved deeply, to be healthy, to have energy, to trust in the unfolding of your destiny. Breathe into that state, teach your body what it feels like, hold that vibration longer than your doubt. If you can sustain it, if you can live in it emotionally, then you are already in alignment with the field of abundance. The key is to sustain the elevated emotion longer than the old habits of survival. The old mind wants to pull you back. It wants to tell you that you don't have enough, that you'll never get there, that you must hustle harder, that you must figure it all out. That is the conditioning of the past, but when you recognize that voice, when you see it for what it is, You can choose not to give it your attention. Instead, you return to the present moment. You breathe. You relax, you surrender, and you remember that life is not happening to you. Life is happening through you. You are not separate from abundance. You are made of it. You are immersed in it. The field of intelligence that gives birth to stars is the same field that can organize your life. But you have to get out of the way. You have to let go of the old self that wants to force, that wants to control, that wants to predict. The old self is addicted to survival, and survival is the opposite of creation. Creation comes from the unknown. Creation comes from the willingness to step into possibility. Creation comes when you relax into flow. So the practice is simple. Every day, find time to get beyond yourself. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, disconnect from the outer world of people, things, and places. Turn your attention inward, slow your brain waves down, move from survival into creation. Begin to imagine the life you want as if it is already real. Feel it, embody it, teach your body to believe it, and the longer you stay in that energy, the more you are broadcasting a signal into the field that says, I am abundance, I am aligned, I am ready. The future you desire is not ahead of you. It already exists as a potential in the quantum field. All you need to do is tune into it. Just like tuning a radio dial, when you change the frequency of your thoughts and emotions, you connect to the broadcast of that reality. You don't have to beg for it. You don't have to struggle for it. You simply become it. Relax into flow. That is the invitation. Stop trying to swim upstream. Stop trying to predict every outcome. Stop rehearsing every worst-case scenario. Instead, become still, trust the river of life, let the current guide you, feel the energy of abundance within you and around you, and watch as life begins to surprise you with more than you could ever have planned. Abundance is your birthright, flow is your natural state, and when you surrender to it, when you align with it, when you become it, you will no longer chase abundance. Abundance will find you effortlessly, naturally, inevitably. Every time you open your heart to gratitude, you are stepping into the flow. Gratitude is one of the highest frequencies you can embody because it tells the universe that you already have what you seek. It bypasses the mind that says, I don't have enough, and directly connects you to the truth that everything you desire is already in motion toward you. When you feel gratitude before the evidence appears, you collapse the distance between where you are and where you want to be. You tell your subconscious that it is already done, already accomplished, already lived, and your subconscious, which runs most of your life, begins to organize your behaviors, your perceptions, and your actions to align with that reality. Think of a time when you were so grateful for something that tears came to your eyes. In that moment, you weren't waiting for something external to prove itself to you. You were in alignment with the feeling of already receiving. That is the secret of attracting abundance. You must become it before it arrives. You must feel wealthy before the money shows up. You must feel loved before the relationship appears. You must feel whole before the healing manifests. The universe is simply mirroring you, reflecting back the state you consistently embody. When you live in flow, synchronicity becomes the language of life. You begin to notice repeating numbers, unexpected phone calls, chance encounters, sudden insights, or opportunities that fall into your lap. These are not random coincidences. They are signs that you are aligned with the greater intelligence. They are breadcrumbs showing you that the field has heard your signal and is responding. Most people ignore these signs or dismiss them as accidents. But if you cultivate awareness, if you remain open, you begin to see that life is speaking to you all the time, guiding you gently, if only you are willing to listen. This is why meditation, stillness, and quiet reflection are so important. In the silence, you shift from the noise of the analytical mind into the infinite intelligence of the heart. The mind calculates based on the past, the heart communicates with the field. And when you live from the heart, you cannot help but draw abundance towards you because the heart emits the strongest electromagnetic field of the body. When it is coherent, when your thoughts and feelings are aligned, you become a powerful magnet. You begin to influence matter rather than be influenced by it. Remember, flow is not passive. It is not sitting on the couch waiting for life to deliver miracles. Flow is a state of inspired action. It is listening to the whispers of intuition, those subtle nudges that tell you to call someone, to take a different route, to try something new, to say yes to the unexpected. These nudges often don't make sense to the logical mind, but they are guiding you into alignment with your future. And when you trust them, when you act on them, you step deeper into the current that carries you exactly where you need to go. The beauty of this way of living is that the pressure disappears. The stress of needing to control everything falls away. You no longer chase, you no longer force, you no longer resist. You relax, you trust, you surrender, and in doing so you open yourself to a life of effortless abundance. You discover that the very thing you were chasing has been waiting for you all along, waiting for you to become the version of yourself who is ready to receive it. When you begin to embody flow, you stop measuring your life by external conditions and start measuring it by internal alignment. The question is no longer, what do I have, but rather, who am I being? Because the outer world is always a reflection of your inner state. If you are being lack, you will see lack. If you are being fear, you will see fear. If you are being abundance, you will see abundance. That's the great shift. Realizing that life does not happen from the outside in, it happens from the inside out. Think of a radio station. If you are tuned to a frequency of lack, you cannot hear the broadcast of abundance, no matter how loudly it is playing. You can be surrounded by opportunity, but you will miss it because you are on the wrong station. Flow is the act of adjusting your frequency, of shifting your internal state until you are dialed into the broadcast of the reality you want. And once you're tuned in, you don't have to chase it. You simply receive it naturally, effortlessly, just like a radio receives sound waves. This is why imagination is so powerful. Imagination is not childish fantasy. It is rehearsal for reality. When you imagine yourself living in abundance and you feel it as real, your brain begins to wire new neural connections as if it has already happened. Your body begins to produce the same chemicals as if you were already living that reality. You literally begin to become your future before it arrives, and the more you rehearse this state, the more natural it becomes, until your body knows it as well as your mind does. That is when you are no longer trying to create abundance. You are embodying it. Consider the times in your life when you were in the zone, when everything seemed to click, when events unfolded smoothly, when you felt inspired, energized, and clear. That was flow. In those moments, you weren't thinking about the past or worrying about the future. You were fully present, connected, alive, and because you were aligned, life responded with ease. Flow is not rare. It is always available, but to live in it consistently, you must practice presence. You must release the habits of overthinking and overcontrolling. Every breath is an opportunity to return to flow. When you inhale deeply, you draw in possibility. When you exhale, you let go of the need to control. In that rhythm, you remind your body that life is safe, that you can trust, that you are supported. The more you anchor yourself in this rhythm, the more your nervous system shifts from survival to creation. And in that state, abundance doesn't just visit, it stays. So much of life's struggle comes from resistance. Resistance to what is, resistance to what was, resistance to what might be. But flow dissolves resistance. Flow says, I trust the unfolding. I accept the present. I know that the intelligence of life is working on my behalf. And with that trust, your energy expands, your vibration rises, and the field of infinite possibility rearranges itself to match you. When you finally stop chasing, when you finally stop forcing, when you finally let go, you discover a profound truth. Abundance was never out there, waiting for you to catch it. It has always been within you, waiting for you to allow it. And when you step into flow, you open the door for that abundance to pour into every area of your life. When you allow yourself to relax into flow, you step beyond the limits of effort and control and open into a higher rhythm of life. You stop repeating the same cycles of yesterday and begin creating a new tomorrow from a place of trust, gratitude, and presence. Abundance is not something you chase. It is something you align with. It comes not from striving but from surrender, not from tension but from coherence, not from lack but from wholeness. The moment you embody the feelings of abundance now, without waiting for conditions to change, you become magnetic to the opportunities, relationships, and experiences that match that vibration. So breathe deeply, trust the current, and remember that the universe is conspiring in your favor. When you let go of resistance, when you choose to believe in the intelligence that is greater than you discover that life is not a struggle to survive, but a flow to surrender into. And in that flow, abundance will not only find you, it will overflow into every area of your life.